On the Road is proudly sponsored by contributions from G.E. Johnson Construction Company, Charles J. Murphy, Gray Line of Colorado, Laura and Brian Markovich, Elham and Edward Ketchum, Wendy and Mark Pfeiffer, and viewers like you. Back when dinosaurs ruled the earth, they did exactly as they pleased. I guess you could say they were free-range dinosaurs. These days, just like the rest of us, dinosaurs have to earn their keep. Now, most dinosaurs are consigned to jobs in advertising and security, using their skills to promote businesses, watch over traffic, and guard shopping malls. And by the way, what are you having for dinner?
I'm hitting the road again. Got adventure crawling under my skin. Going places that I've never been. I'm hitting the road. I'm hitting the road again. Gonna take along all of my friends. Living life like there's just no end. I'm hitting the road. Feeling better since I don't know when. I'm hitting the road.
We begin our adventure hanging out with Bruce Shoemaker, paleontologist for the U.S. Forest Service, where Bruce will show me some beachfront property in La Junta, Colorado. We'll catch a glimpse behind the scenes at a dinosaur reconstruction lab in Woodland Park, Colorado, and make tracks to Denver for a visit with Dr. Martin Lockley. Speaking of tracks, we stop by Dinosaur Ridge and the Morrison Museum. After that, it's westward ho as we're off to Utah and Dinosaur National Monument. From there, we head up to Bozeman, Montana to catch up with Dr. Jack Horner. You saw his character in the movies and just didn't know it. We take a turn southward to the Wyoming Dinosaur Center, where we get to meet a super dinosaur. Then we'll catch up with Dr. Karen Chin at the University of Colorado at Boulder. You'll never guess what she specializes in. We stop in to see Dr. Joe Sertich, and he shows us all the bones in the basement of the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. Finally, we accompany Joe Sertich and Bruce Shoemaker to a real bona fide dig site. So come on, we're on the on-ramp to the Jurassic Parkway. With my beach bag and sunscreen all packed, our first stop, the quaint little seaside town of La Junta, Colorado.
So I'm Bruce Shoemaker. I'm a zone paleontologist for the U.S. Forest Service.
Wow, a day at the beach. The sound of the waves, the sun on your face, and the wind in your hair.
Donna, are you there? Wake up. You do realize this hasn't been a beach for 87 million years.
87 million years? So I don't need my swimsuit?
Okay, so we're standing on a site in a rock formation called the Juana Lopez Sandstone on the Comanche National Grassland. This site was discovered by a local resident of La Junta, and it's unusual, very unique, in that we're not talking about a dinosaur here, it's a marine reptile. What was originally discovered at this site were just a few large blocks of sandstone, and it's these four here that we're projecting out of the side of the hill. This is an active paleontological quarry. So we started work on this site last year, and it's continuing now. We'll be working on this site in conjunction with the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. This animal is designed for open, deep water marine environments. There is some speculation as to the habits of elasmosaurs. Maybe they fed near shore, but in this case, their preferred habitat, I wouldn't think, would be right in the surf. And this habitat is in the surf. So probably for whatever reason, this animal died, whether it be old age or some other reason. Its carcass was then still buoyant enough that it was carried by currents and waves into a beach deposit before it was ultimately buried. So that's one of the things that I'm most proud of in this program and happiest about. I think the public is too. The Forest Service has a program called Passport in Time. It's a volunteer program. People from around the nation can sign up to do any number of stewardship projects, conservation efforts on historic structures, but in some cases dig for dinosaurs. And I think over the life of the paleontology projects on the Comanche grassland, we've had upwards of 100 plus volunteers that have actually engaged in the volunteer projects. And the beauty of it is, of course, not only are they enjoying themselves, they're helping us do good stewardship, and they've contributed thousands of hours, volunteer, free, back to the resource. Yeah, so it's a win-win program.
Bidding farewell to Bruce and the beach life, we head to Woodland Park, Colorado to talk with Mike Trebold, president of the Rocky Mountain Dinosaur Resource Center. Thanks for having us here today, Mike.
Thanks for being here, Donna.
Now, I understand there are two parts of your operation here. Tell us what those parts are.
That's right. We have a museum open to the public where we have a complete display of dinosaurs along with a separate complete display of marine animals. Then the other part that's a wonderful surprise to a lot of people, our laboratory is located in the back of the museum. And in that laboratory, that's where we bring in the specimens that we have discovered and collected.
Okay.
We prepare the bones, we completely free them of all the rock, we restore the missing parts, we reconstruct missing pieces, piece by piece, bone by bone, and then our best skeletons, we mold them and cast them too. We mold them out of a silicone rubber, we make urethane plastic copies, which look exactly like the originals, but aren't, and we sell those to museums all over the world.
Hello, my name is Martin Lockley. I'm a professor of geology at the University of Colorado at Denver.
Dr. Lockley specializes in dinosaur tracks. In fact, he travels all over the world to study their footprints. The study of dinosaur tracks is very important. They can teach us many things, like whether the dinosaur walked on 2 legs or 4 legs. They can also tell the size and weight of the dinosaur and approximately how fast the dinosaur was. The tracks can also give us clues into their social behavior, such as whether they traveled solo or in herds.
I was in my second year here teaching, and a student came in and said, "You want to go see some dinosaur tracks?" So I said, "Sure." And he took me out to a coal mine in western Colorado, and we went in and there were these tracks on the roof of the mine, and we literally had nothing more than a notebook and tape measure, the miner's lamp, and a camera, and said, well, we should somehow try and document these things. So we made a little map of this roof of this coal mine, and published it in a local geology journal. And it's sort of, we were instant experts, and then we found out that very little had been written about dinosaur tracks anywhere in Colorado. Historically, there are some quite important tracks from the beginning of the age of dinosaurs back east in New England and going up into the Canadian provinces. But once you get west of the Mississippi, you get into western Kansas, and particularly into Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, the Rocky Mountain states. The geology is very conducive to finding lots and lots of dinosaur tracks. So I could take you to a place on a skyscraper in Denver and literally along the Front Range point to 50 or 60, track sites. It's a very, very prolific area. I like to tease my colleagues who study bones that they're studying death and decay, but we're studying alive animals, the athletic, dynamic animal in motion. More and more we sort of realize that what we're doing is making an ancient landscape a part of the modern landscape, and especially if we're interpreting it and protecting it, and it becomes like a state park or a national park for people to work on. So that's a very gratifying aspect of the work.
And speaking of dinosaur tracks, there are dozens of places to see them up and down the Rocky Mountains. Dinosaur Ridge in Morrison, Colorado is just 14 miles west of Denver and is one of the best. Take a trek through time and see what the planet looked like millions of years ago, and get a free guided tour of the tracks from the awesome museum. Aaron LeCount is Education Programs Coordinator and is a veritable fountain of knowledge. Here, you'll see Cretaceous dinosaur footprints and Jurassic dinosaur bones still encased in the sandstone where they were originally found. If you're looking to see footprints and fossils, then you're on the right track. After After seeing all the cool tracks at Dinosaur Ridge, only 5 minutes down the road is the Morrison Natural History Museum. We caught up with the director and chief curator, Matt Mossbrucker. What do visitors to this museum get to see when they come?
What do they get to see? What do the visitors to the Morrison Natural History Museum get to see? They get to see everything, because all of our collections are out on display. Most of our collections are hands-on. At this museum, you can pet baby Stegosaurus footprints. We have a T-Rex. You can touch it as well. We want people to participate in their natural history by having a close encounter with dinosaurs. That's what we're all about. The museum hosts kids as young as age 16 and as old as mid-90s. And we have a program where we immerse curious minds in local paleontology, every aspect of museum studies as well, from working in our collections to field work to fossil preparation like we're doing here in the Paleo Lab. If you want to understand small museum culture, and if you want to understand, just the scope of what you can do in paleontology, an internship here at the Morrison Museum is where you'd want to start.
And thanks to our good fortune, while at the Morrison Museum, we got the opportunity to meet Dr. Robert T. Bacher, curator of paleontology at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Why is paleontology important to you?
Well, there are two levels of why it's important. The first level is, it is a calling to kids, to the human mind. And it's really good to get kids to think about science and think about nature and read and draw. That's on one level. It really, really, really works. On a second, more philosophical level, knowing where our ecosystem came from sort of empowers you to make better decisions about what's right. Now, if you know, for instance, turtles are way old and have been shaped by natural selection since the Jurassic and before, it gives you more of a sense of value in the turtle. You'll be more likely to want to preserve that turtle species. And turtles are under attack worldwide. Frogs more so, salamanders. If you know how old these are, and how long it's taken to create them, you treat them with more respect.
Dinosaur National Monument, which comprises over 210,000 acres and straddles the border of Colorado and Utah. Over 14 different species of dinosaurs have been found in this area alone. Today we're going to see the Dinosaur Exhibit Hall, where there's over 1,000 bones to see. It's amazing.
Hi, my name is Ranger Tiffany Small. I'm here in Dinosaur National Monument, and I am standing in front of our Utah state fossil, which is the Allosaurus.
This area was home to a plethora of dinosaurs. Amazingly, the first dinosaur fossils were discovered in this area in 1909 by paleontologist Earl Douglas. And by 1915, President Woodrow Wilson had proclaimed this site a national monument. This monument started out as only 80 acres and eventually expanded to 210,000 acres. The Quarry Exhibit Hall is a must-see. This building was built around the wall, which is now nearly vertical due to the upthrust formation of the Rocky Mountains. The bones and fossils have been in the same place for over 100 million years. This building is the centerpiece of the monument and houses one of the most spectacular displays of dinosaur fossils found anywhere in the world. Wow, this is so cool. There are 1,500 bones in this wall alone from 8 different dinosaurs. It's amazing. And the best part is you can actually touch the bones. The monument is home to an awesome museum, and from there you can take guided tours of the site and make sure you catch a glimpse of the petroglyphs and pictographs left behind by an ancient civilization. Bozeman, Montana, Big Sky Country and home of the Museum of the Rockies. Today I get to meet Dr. Jack Horner, who was the scientific advisor on the movie Jurassic Park. I am so excited.
When Dolly the sheep was cloned, it was cloned from its mother. And we don't have any living dinosaurs, so we cannot clone a dinosaur like Dolly was cloned. One of the projects we have going on right now, we call the Dino Chicken Project, and it really is an attempt to use bird DNA and actually sort out the ancestral DNA of a dinosaur from its descendant, the bird, because the bird is actually carrying some of its ancestral DNA. And all we need to do is find those right genes, and we might be able to at least bring back some characteristics of a dinosaur. That's not bringing back a real dinosaur like a Triceratops or a T-Rex or anything like it, but if we can find some of those characteristics, we might be able to retro-engineer a modern bird to look more like an ancient dinosaur.
Why do you feel paleontology is important?
From the scientist's perspective, I mean, the answer really is science is fun, science is exciting, and we are learning everything we possibly can, and so there should never be barriers for what we can learn. I just love what I do, and so I love being out in the field, I love being in the lab, I love teaching, I love writing the papers. I like all of it.
No bones about it.
Yeah, no bones about it.
There are so many great places to see dinosaurs in the Rocky Mountain region, like the Wyoming Dinosaur Center in Thermopolis, Wyoming. Thermopolis is famous for two things: their natural hot springs and their dinosaur center. And the drive to get here through the canyon, spectacular. Come on.
We feel that the Wyoming Dinosaur Center is special because it houses some of the most rarest fossils. We have the only Archaeopteryx in North America, named the Thermopolis specimen. There's only 12 specimens in the entire world. We focus on education and teaching youth and adults. That's one thing that we're very proud of, is the Wyoming Dinosaur Center offers Dig for a Day programs. We offer half a day program. We offer kids only programs. We offer elder hostel programs, and here you can get up close and personal to the science itself. So when you come in with many questions, we answer those questions for you. You can participate in all aspects of paleontology. So you start with the digging process, you work in the prep lab, then you come to the gallery and you put that fossil on display.
The Wyoming Dinosaur Center is home to a Supersaurus, one of only 3 found in North America. And as a herd animal with a weight of approximately 40 tons, can you imagine what that must have sounded like? Watching paleontologist Dr. William Wall work with fossils, you might say it's like trying to find the pieces for one super-size puzzle. Wow, that is pretty amazing. As we know, some dinosaurs are herbivores and some dinosaurs were carnivores. And what goes in usually has to come out. Nobody knows more about what comes out than Dr. Karen Chin. She's curator of paleontology for the University of Colorado at Boulder. Coprolites is what they're called, which is the study of fossilized poo.
That's right.
Okay. How do you know who left this little nugget behind?
This big nugget?
This big nugget, yes.
That's a really good question. We do not always know who done it. It takes a lot of evidence. We have to look very carefully, different kinds of evidence. First of all, we see what's inside. This particular one, there's a lot of chopped up plant material, so an herbivore produced it. If we find one that has a lot of bone in it, we know a carnivore produced it. We also look at the size. An example is the probable T-Rex coprolite that we found. It was very large, and yet all of the other carnivore bones that we found in the same sediments represented carnivores that were much smaller, and they couldn't have produced such a large nugget. Therefore, our best guess in this case is that the pupatrator was T-Rex.
The pupatrator was T-Rex.
The pupatrator was likely T-Rex.
Okay, Karen, tell me, why is paleontology important?
I think paleontology is very important because it gives us perspective on life through time. When we go outside, we see a certain number of plants and animals that are alive today. But we have to remind ourselves that plants, animals, and bacteria have been living for millions, even billions of years on this earth and responding to different environments over time. We can see how those different organisms responded to the environment and how they lived and thrived and went extinct over time to give us perspective on our own environment on Earth today. People can go to museums, learn about paleontology, volunteer if they want to. It's so interesting. I find it so interesting, and I have found that other people, especially kids, love dinosaurs. And when we teach people how we learn, how we use the scientific method to study dinosaurs, that teaches people how science is done, and it makes them more science literate. So I think it's very important for people to get involved and be involved with your local natural history museum.
Dr. Joseph Sertich is the curator of vertebrate paleontology at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science and studies the effects of global changes like climate and shifting continents on the evolution of dinosaurs and crocodiles.
Well, when you come to the Denver Museum and visit the Prehistoric Journey exhibit, you start with the beginning of life on Earth, and you track the evolution of life through 3.5 billion years. Eventually it'll lead you to the time of the dinosaurs, so you'll walk into a dinosaur hall 240 million years ago, and you'll leave it at 66 million years ago with the extinction event.
Ever wanted to realize that childhood dream of finding and reconstructing a dinosaur? Well, time to wake up and smell the fossils. Putting together dinosaurs is exactly what the volunteers do inside the lab at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Well, here at the Denver Museum, we're really proud. This is what we consider, and many people consider, the largest volunteer program in the country. And for dinosaurs, it's no different. We have about 125 volunteers who work here in the lab regularly, another 125 volunteers who work out in our exhibits hall and interpret the exhibits and the mounts and the skeletons for visitors, and another 70 on top of that who come out and work in the field. To get into the lab, you have to take a special lab training course, and we teach that in the spring and the fall, and that is usually a 5-day class that's spread over 5 weeks, so it's 1 day a week. And following that, we're asking volunteers to go through a 20-hour practicum. So after you complete the courses, you have to come in for another 20 hours as it fits your schedule and prove that you're really good as a preparator. And then you're in. Then you're in and you can set your schedule and you can come in whenever it works. The great thing about paleontology is it's a grand experiment in time. And so we can't study things like evolution and climate change on a short time scale. So we couldn't go back and look at just the last 100 years to learn about the next 2,000 years. We have to look at the last several million years to learn about big jumps in time in the future. So the Earth has already done these grand experiments in climate, and we can use those experiments to understand what's going on with the world today and in the future. Well, I love dinosaurs, but I'm also interested in their whole ecosystem, so dinosaur ecosystems. And my main research is in how those ecosystems adapt and change in a changing world. And so today we live in an ice house. We have polar ice caps on the north and the south. At the time of the dinosaurs, it was a greenhouse. Temperatures were much warmer. We didn't have ice on the north and south poles, and forests extended all the way up into those regions. And so I'm really interested in understanding how a dinosaur ecosystem in a greenhouse world can be used to understand our world today.
You might say field work really cuts to the bone for paleontologists. This is where the whole process begins. You know all those perfectly prepared specimens you see in museums? Well, they all started out as fossils, entombed in rock. Cutting the fossils out of the surrounding rock, prepping and cataloging them, and casting them to make the trek back to the lab is painstaking and very detailed work. It is certainly a labor of love. Each person we had the opportunity to talk to said they enjoyed this part of the journey as much, if not more, than any other. To find, extract, and hold something in your hands that nobody else has seen before instills a real sense of awe and reverence. To touch something that bridges a gap of 100 million years is mind-boggling. We were privileged to accompany Bruce Shoemaker, Joe Sertich, and Mike Getty and a team of volunteers to an active dig in southeastern Colorado. It was a joy to see these scientists immersed in their passion. The gale force winds did little to curb their enthusiasm and the strong camaraderie that this crew enjoyed. This was a team effort, and the weather would have had to been a whole lot worse for it to have dampened their fervor. It was an honor to witness these dedicated people doing important scientific work. New discoveries happen all the time, and not knowing what lies under the next rock is what keeps these intrepid researchers going. Rocky Mountain Adventure Quest would like to thank all the university professors, the staff at all the museums who opened their doors to us, and the many professional and volunteer paleontologists who made this episode so special. From southeastern Colorado all the way up through Utah, Wyoming, and Montana, we met a whole new collection of wonderful friends who could not hide their fascination and passion for what is essentially one of the coolest detective stories of all time. So remember that question about what you were having for dinner? Okay, little known fact, all birds are dinosaurs. So that fried chicken you ate? Yep, dinosaur. So you'll want to think about that next Thanksgiving when you serve up a roasted turkeysaurus. Hitting the Road is proudly sponsored by contributions from G.E. Johnson Construction Company, Charles J. Murphy, Gray Line of Colorado, Laura and Brian Markovich, Elham and Edward Ketchum, Wendy and Mark Pfeiffer, and viewers like you.